Up at the morning to you, laddies and lassies. Happy St. Patty's Day. All right, well, that was stupid. But anyway, welcome to episode number 7. Good afternoon, everyone. We've got a new person in here saying hello. Robert Estes, welcome in. How you doing, man? Good. Thanks for stopping in, brother. I appreciate you. And so we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Some of it's not necessarily really directly rideshare right now, but definitely in the future. So I got hooked into this little subject, and we'll get into it. And I spent way too much time going down the rabbit hole with this thing, and so we might not hit the hour, only because I don't want to bore you to death with this new thing that I'm fascinated with. So we'll try and ease everybody into it because I don't know that everybody has the same fascination as I do with these things, but we'll talk about that. Bubba Sue, welcome in. Awesome, Amy, thank you so much. Robert, we said hello to you. And Twin Pines Studio, we have you in. We got a whole lot of the regular gang in. I'm sure we'll have more as we continue on, but so we always got to start off, at least in most of the shows, with our favorite subject. I think we're gonna have to start calling it Waymo or Wayno. That'll be the new title for it. That was kind of something Bubba Sue coined. Happy St. Patty's Day. So those of you that are in here listening while you're in between rides, waiting for that St. Patty's crowd, be careful out there tonight, guys. It's going to be crazy. Not everybody is going to be as responsible as your passengers. So y'all stay safe out there, whether you're doing some gig work or handling people, having people in. Sartek K9. Good that you came in. You got to pay attention here. I've actually got something directly related to search and rescue and ties into rideshares, kind of little different rideshare. So thanks for stopping in. Rideshare Rodeo, Steve, what is up? We've got everybody in the house now. So anyway, let's kick this off with our favorite subject.
Okay, we're going into our Waymo. Whoa, this is crazy.
Josie Kaufman and her sister are taking their first ride in a driverless Waymo taxi.
Oh, we have to turn left? Oh, God.
It's inching out. This is actually really scary.
The taxi is crossing 4 lanes of highway in Chandler, Arizona.
No, it's gonna go after this car.
No, it's not. It better not. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Suddenly, the car stops in the path of oncoming traffic.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God! Oh my God!
The sisters are terrified.
What were you feeling when you're in the middle of traffic with cars coming towards you and no one is in the driver's seat?
I'm definitely terrified. We are stopped in the middle of 4 lanes of traffic coming very, very quickly towards us.
The company told us while the event does not reflect the vast majority of our services, we take it seriously to learn and improve from it.
Would you ever get in a Waymo again?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would have to really think about it.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!
There you go, guys. I mean, what the hell? I think they said it was in Chandler. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention, but if it was anywhere in Phoenix, like particularly down around Baseline, holy crap, man! There's nobody would have stopped for him or moved out of the way. Yeah, exactly. I I'd be calling Bryant right now. I'd be like, what's rideshare lawyer? All right? What's his number? I mean, and honestly, they might even still have a case at this point because that'd be pretty terrifying. I mean, obviously, these were stereotype girls of that age group that probably exaggerate things, but I think they were genuinely terrified, and I don't blame them. And I'll tell you, if that was one of my kids, there'd be some ass to be had with that Waymo. I'm sorry. That's just completely freaking unacceptable. So once again, we have another close call, and it's not because the Waymo vehicle did the right thing. It's because humans did the right thing. So when in the hell are we going to freaking stop this crap show that's going on? It got me on a tirade over this because again, my kids are in that age group, and just thinking them being in that danger with that thing, no way. I would be slashing tires on every Waymo in Arizona to ensure that they were that my kids and other people were safe, because that's completely careless. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that, but let's see what the chat has to say on here. Let's come in here. And looks like we got Bubba Sue. Holy crap. Yeah, you summed it up. That's what I'd first be saying it and then probably doing it. So let's see here. Sartek K9 says, no thanks. Exactly one of the top reasons I'll never be in one, says Awesome Amy. I would agree with you. And again, I made the commentary about what Steve said. Rideshare rodeo. We're going to be calling Bryant before we even get done with that, before we can get out of that vehicle safely. And let's see, Bubba Sue, Wayno. PTSD, yeah, exactly. I mean, that girl, she said, they asked her, is she ever going to go into a Waymo? She's not sure at this point. So obviously she's got a little secondary trauma. I don't know. Awesome Amy says, hell, I'd be terrified. And I'm old. So, some reason I got disconnected from the chat, so I may have to go over to my phone here. Looks like good old OBS may not be the solution for me. I may have to come up with something else. Says I successfully connected again. So anyway, moving on with the show, not letting it distract from us. But guys, there we go. And there's just always so many of these things to put out there. It's like you just Google Waymo disaster and you'll come up with 10 million things. These things are constantly, perpetually happening. And again, it's not because they're not having incidents. Number one, they're thank God during that time that there were drivers, real human drivers, that were alert. What if there was a Waymo coming the other direction? Or if there was a power outage all of a sudden and it couldn't talk to its safety driver? Because clearly it looks like there had to be some kind of intervention there. And that road was busy, man. So what you didn't see was they still had the same problems when they got over to the other lanes on it, once they got to the middle. So go ahead and look up that video, and you can see the whole thing. I just thought it was a little more interesting to cut it short, because that one did have a little bit of a reaction from at least one of the ladies that was involved with it. So, guys, when is enough? We got to start doing something about this, people. So, all right. So moving on from that, we do have. Hang on. Whoop. Sorry, jumped ahead here a little bit because I didn't have the video branded, but a little bit of quick update on the Colorado legislation that was coming in, HB 26-1273. Yes, 1273 we're going to talk about first. That's the one where they're trying to cap where they want to cap the amount that the rideshare companies can take. There was testimony this week by a lot of different people. Seems most of them were supportive of it. I think it's the Denver area or the Metro Area Chamber of Commerce came out and they opposed it. They recognize that somebody's going to pay for this. It's going to be the consumers, guys. So don't think for a minute, even if this passes, and they did add a few little things to it to tighten up where I said on my podcast and on even on Steve's last Thursday when I was a co-host on the Thursday Night Lives with Steve, that they did make some changes to it. That not included are tips, pass-throughs, taxes. So any taxes are going to not be included in that 20%. The airport fees are excluded, which is reasonable. These are all reasonable. And payments for a driver support organization. So this is Colorado's CIDU. That was part of the Rideshare Transparency Act, was that there's now a drivers can contribute to the CIDU to help represent drivers whenever they get deactivated and help make determinations whether to pursue action through arbitration or other means with Uber, Lyft, or other rideshare companies in Colorado. So those are excluded from that 20% take rate, which is appropriate. But the bottom line is, guys, these are mega billion-dollar corporations, and they got a hell of a lot more overhead than you and I do as drivers. And we say, I'll side with the drivers, we can't make enough money. And that's when, using everyone else's statistics, saying it goes from as low as 40% as high as to 60%, okay, on the average. So if you can't survive as an independent contractor on 40 to 60%, how the hell do you think a multi-billion-dollar company is going to survive on 20%? They're not. What's going to happen? They're going to, and I know I'm sound like a broken record to a lot of you that regularly tune into this, but guys, you can't run a corporation on 20%. I challenge any rideshare company, even ones that are local in Colorado, prove to me that you're operating on 20%, and I will call you a liar. That you can't do it. It costs too much to run these companies. Number one, the insurance alone, particularly in Colorado, because when you have some of the highest insurance rates, commercial insurance is out the door. And then you have to pay $76,000, or if you're Uber and Lyft, you got to pay even more than that just to be an approved TNC. So then you have all those, and then you have all the other overhead to operate these platforms. And yes, as you get bigger, it costs more money. Are they appropriately spending their money in every area? Absolutely freaking not. But they still, even if they ran on a shoestring, guys, they're going to need more than that. So this isn't going to fix the problem. It'll make everybody feel better emotionally until the passengers quit riding and they start taking the bus. They get their e-bikes, they take their scooters. They start. The other thing that's going to happen here, the cash ride business in Colorado is going to explode, and then we're going to have uninsured rides going on all over within Colorado. So another monster is going to be created with this. Legislators, listen to what the hell I'm saying. I'm saying this because I've done over 10,000 rides. It's not because I'm just pulling these numbers and pulling these ideas of what's really going on. And I've been part of Fortune 750 companies, and even bigger than that, working as a contractor. So this isn't stuff that I've done just because I want to get people's emotions. This is the truth of it, guys. And I know me saying I'm opposed to this bill is going to piss a lot of drivers off, but I'm not saying it without reason. All I want you to do, you don't have to agree with me. I just want you to listen to the reason of it. So it's just, guys, that's maybe the last. It's not going to be the last I'm going to say on it, because it's still got to go back to the House. It's going in front of appropriations. That's just technicality stuff. It'll get there. So I'm going to quit ranting about that tonight, because that gets me on a big soapbox, because I think drivers are just being really short-sighted and trying to cut off their nose to spite their face and be retaliatory to Uber and Lyft, and and look at all the companies and actually look at how much your take is, whether it's Uber, Lyft, or Drivers Co-op. look at all of those. See if any of them are paying you ever 80%. There's times I make more on Uber than the passenger pays because they got to get that ride done. And I'm a cherry picker. So, I mean, I got the little message from Lyft, and I felt like I wasn't really doing a good job, that they said I was in the top 20% of earners in Colorado Springs last week. And I was sitting there asking myself, what did I do wrong? Because I cherry pick. And, it can be done. It's hard, guys. Don't get me wrong, but fighting the wrong fight. Let's think of some other things that we can do to make meaningful impact without ultimately hurting the customers, the drivers, the passengers, because Uber and Lyft aren't going to pay for it. The passenger's going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it because they don't care about either one of us. They just care about that green in between us. So, all right. It's a gimmick that needs to be shut down. I assume, Colin, that is you talking about the Waymo thing instead of the government. I would say it applies to both. But anyway, so that's my rant on that. The other bill that nobody is talking about, and I know it's really boring, but I haven't even heard anything from other consumer affair groups, is the House Bill 261210. And again, guys, I know these are Colorado-centric things, but they're gonna, if they pass in Colorado, they're gonna go everywhere. So, but this is the one about the personal data, using AI and other things to look at and make a determination about how much somebody's going to pay. So there's that dynamic pricing that we keep seeing going on, and there's not a ton of opposition. It already went through the House Appropriations as well, passed with the same number of votes, with the narrow 7-6, and also the Chamber of Commerce came out and said this is short-sighted, and there's a lot of holes in this bill that will cause inappropriate restrictions, and there'll still be other things that come in there. Yeah, we don't want AI determining how much we're going to pay for something. This goes on with Uber and Lyft, and it also, by the way, it excludes employees from a whole lot of things, but it also protects employees, but it doesn't say anything about independent contractors. So right now, this isn't going to probably impact anything as me as a driver. But passengers, it's going to affect how much, potentially you could be paying on things. We know they manipulate your pricing. They openly say that they do it based on, time of day and availability of drivers and blah, 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 blah. They're using AI to determine your pricing and how much you're going to pay, how much charges on your damn cell phone. That's been proven. These aren't, tinfoil hat allegations. Uber and Lyft have been doing this for a long time. DoorDash does it. Uber Eats does it. All of these companies. So, guys, if you're in Colorado, or if you have any interest in legislation about how AI is costing you more money, go look at HB 261210. And it's a long bill. I know this legislation stuff is freaking boring, but it really impacts our lives, guys. We gotta start paying attention to these things. Start looking at them. Get interested. If you're not interested and you want the summary, then stick around and listen to me rant about it for 10 minutes, but be an informed voter, guys. Don't even listen to my opinions on things. Opinions are like, what? And yeah, they all stink, because there's going to be somebody that doesn't agree with me, and that's okay. Like we were talking about, on, what was it? It was on Torps last night, I think it was, where, we can disagree without being disagreeable. Now, I didn't coin that. Ronald Reagan made that quote. That's what made that quote famous, but he didn't. It's not believed that even he originated it. But the great thing about sayings like that is because they're true, and we can disagree with one another. I mean, there's stuff with Steve and I, talk and we get on live that we'll disagree with. And one of these I'm going to hammer on a little bit tonight where he disagrees with me. And we're going to jump into that actually. So, Steve and I have some disagreement on the timeline of the I can't even remember what the heck they've called these things, the electric vertical takeoff, blah, blah, blah things. Hold on a second. Let me get to this because I didn't even want to talk about HP 1210 and all this other legislation too much. So I skipped ahead of it. There's a lot of really interesting stuff, but guys, I don't want to bore you to death either. The eVTOLs, eVTOL. That sounds like some kind of. If you or a loved one have suffered from eVTOL, you may be entitled to compensation. Anyway, the vertical takeoff and landing, but they're adding E to it since they have the electric crap. Yeah, they're exactly basically a helicopter. But this is, Steve and I have a big disagreement on that. We still haven't figured out what our bet is. I offered to, let him wear an Avalanche jersey whenever I said these things are coming down the road. And I said originally 2030, but the research I did, I've got an argument here that it might be as early as 2028. And I know Steve's like really rolling his eyes at me now, is to say, what in the hell? And now this damn guy's like really gone off the frickin', I know, stay in my lane, Steve, but no, these things they're really interesting. And I think they can also help improve rideshare. Now, some areas are going to drop dramatically, and we'll talk about that. But so kind of, even though you don't care about ever driving an electronic airplane and going to a vertiport. So another stupid word, but anyway, it is what it is. We'll learn to adapt to it, and we'll just go from there. Like Bubba says, we're gonna disagree respectfully. That's how we learn and grow. Absolutely, and that's one of the things I really love about rideshare is being able to get other people's opinions. I talk about crap that. No, you're not supposed to talk about. I talk about politics. I talk about religion. I talk, because I maintain an open mind to what other people have to say. I don't have to agree with it, and I don't have to inject my opinion all the time. Sometimes I do, depending on what the subject is. And there's a few people in this room that are very intimately aware of, me sometimes putting that opinion right on the forefront. And all right, Robert, you be safe out there. Keep the greasy side down, brother. So let's see. I love not seeing eye to eye, especially when you're wrong. I know. That's exactly it, Steve. Anyway. All right. You got to have big bucks to take one of those eVTOLs. Yeah. So we'll dig into some of that, but I literally, guys, I ended up with over 30 pages of notes when I dug into this thing, and really, because I'm like, I don't know, I want to see what's going on. And the other reason is because there was a big meeting with the FAA and blah blah blah, and DOT and a whole bunch of lobbying from going on this last week. There was within the autonomous vehicle world also, but the big area was really, to me, we already know what's happened with the EV. New York got their permit, by the way, for running the first unmanned, the city of New York. So they're going to start to run Waymos unmanned within the city of New York. So if there's not enough damn traffic problems as it is, wait till one of those stupid things just shut down. Good luck with that. So they had the FAA had a big powwow, and they've been putting this program together, kind of quietly, but not, called the Advanced Air Mobility Program. So that's a eVTOL Integration Pilot Program. Okay, and this is what really got my interest to go, holy crap, maybe I'm wrong on my timeline. Yes, Steve, I said I'm wrong on my timeline, but it's Colin says you never, and he's making the comment about me voicing my opinions strongly whenever yeah, Colin, that one didn't even come to mind, but yeah, you've witnessed that yourself, huh, brother. But anyway, so the FAA Advanced Air Mobility Program is now kicking off, and this thing is going full bore, guys. And New York's not designed for Waymo. Is it designed for air taxis, Bubba Sue? I'm gonna let you think about that while we watch this. And this is why I'm convinced that these things are going to get pushed through. And they're not even going to wait for Dubai to finish up all their testing. Did y'all notice whose logo that was? Department of Transportation. They put that video out. Now, I don't think it was directed by Michael Bay, but the cinematography certainly had a lot of resemblance to it. So they spent a lot of money, and they're spending a lot of money on their agendas. Again, not making any sides with this, but they're doing a lot to push these things through and push them through quickly. And we're going to talk in a minute about why I think some of this is being pushed a lot quicker. Are we going to live in the air too, says Bubba Sue? Well, I don't know. I Dream of Jeannie says, we can have our magic carpets, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know about magic beds. That could get really weird. Bring a whole new meaning to the Mile High Club. Anyway, never mind. So Steve says NSA, FTC, and counterterrorism group will never let this happen in New York City. Okay, well, New York City, let's just look at this. So there's 26 states that have been broke down into 8 different regions. And they've selected Arizona, Florida, Idaho, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, South Carolina, Omaha, Oregon. Next page. Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. I've been everywhere, man. Anyway, that's 26 states out of the 50. It's over half of them, guys, that they've already selected. And then you look at certain states like Colorado that sits kind of in between New Mexico, Texas, Utah. Those were all named states as part of this initial pilot. So, yeah. And again, I can sit here and I could literally monologue for days on this, guys. So when you start getting bored, just tell me and we'll end the episode, because I literally have so much information on this. But guys, this is moving forward, and this is moving a lot faster than even I anticipated with it. So, hell, who knows, Sue? We might be living in the air. You'd be booking your hotel in with Space Force or something. Hell, I don't know. Let's see here. Awesome Amy says, I'm all for it, Sue, as long as I can get Rosie to be my housekeeper. Rosie was cool, man. Yeah, I could go with that too. All right. We're good with that. And then Bubba Sue says, you'll soon be able to buy a Rosie, but I want an actual Rosie. I don't want some humanoid looking robot thing. Those things are creepy. And I can't get past, and I don't know why iRobot has not become a thing other than the whole Will Smith politics of it. People need to watch that damn movie. I keep making these little references, and I don't know. I think maybe I'll need to pull some bites from that or something. So, Sean, heard that you heard that list when in 2018 was VTOL was going to be everywhere by 2019. You're not wrong, Steve. And I will, and I'm bringing that argument to the front also with it, because one of the things that we've talked about is transparency, and I'll own my shit. So, Steve, I look forward to us still continuing to have this debate. You bring your data, I'll bring mine, and we'll dance, brother. So to that point, I'm going to go ahead and move a little different. I'm going to change this up a little bit. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But this craft, Steve, this is the Beta Technologies Alea, I think is what it's called, if I remember correctly. And that picture right there was from 2020. And Beta Technologies hasn't done anything else to advance their technology, but they're actually one of the supposed big I don't even know what they're one of the top three to five that are going to be probably in the if you're playing the odds of who's going to be doing these things, they're actually on that list. So it's so to your point, Steve, yeah, they've been talking about this forever. That picture was during COVID. Looked like it was during COVID. There was nothing else around it. So that's one of the aircraft that are on the front lines of this. And yeah, it's had limited flights, Steve. So to your point, you're absolutely right. They keep saying the same thing. Broken record, just like you said in the chat there. And no data has been real on VTOL. Okay, on the eVTOL, that there's no real data on Waymo. There's only it's only whatever the message they want you to hear on Waymo. So why should this agenda be any different than Waymo? How many people said, "Oh, there's no way Waymo's going to be running around. We're not going to have people, peopleless vehicles running around, and that not in my lifetime." Well, guess what, people? It's freaking happening. So don't discount and dismiss this too. They don't care about people. They care about profits. I don't know how many times I got to say this. They'll put profits in front of people every freaking time. When are we going to learn? We all know this. I'm not ranting about anything that any of you already don't know. I'm just here trying to give you a reminder going, wake up, guys, wake up. This isn't Chicken Little and the sky is falling. This is Chicken Little. I got aircraft above me without people in them, or I got aircraft, little helicopters flying around transporting people at uber black prices. And the thing is, with the uber black prices, this thing looks pretty cool. So, but what's even cooler than that, guys? Look at this bad boy. You don't think there's a whole bunch of tech bros that don't want to fly around in the Archer Midnight? That thing is, come on. That just screams tech bro. We're there, man. We are in the world of the Jetsons in our lifetime. So let's see here. It'll end up bringing 2 Uber helicopters this time instead of 1. We'll discuss this Thursday. Outstanding, Steve. Let's have some intelligent debate about this, because I love it. And it'll end up This is fun. This is the fun stuff, guys. And this is why Steve and I really work well together, because when we disagree, we can, and I want to hear from all the rest of you too. Steve, I got Steve going because he's got like 5 comments in the chat here. He's dying to get on the air with me now to have this debate. So, hey, Jam Woodworking Joe, thanks for stopping in, brother. Sorry I didn't get an opportunity to send you a notification. I was literally cramming at the last minute trying to figure out how much of this stuff to cut out of the show, because there's so much of it. And I knew it'd end up being a shorter show just because it can get really dry, and and it doesn't necessarily have to do directly with rideshare or with food delivery, but it does. And these are the components, and I'm going to talk more about this. I did shave a lot of this out of it, but as they're developing this plan, really a lot of this stuff does involve they're setting up new highways, we'll call them for lack of a better term, and NASA's been involved with this, and they've run simulation after simulation. Yeah, I know this sounds like a bunch of Waymo and Tesla, yada yada yada. I can run without people driving the vehicle. We've ran all these simulations. Well, you don't run enough simulations because there's too many scenarios to run every simulation. But anyway, NASA built an algorithm, and they've done a lot of test flights, and it includes, well, let me see if I can, yep, there it is right there. So regional flights between cities, and I think Colorado will be, probably as they expand this, Colorado will be the next one on the list. Not just because of geographically where it sits, as I said before, but logistically, because that stupid Denver airport that they built out in freaking Kansas, if you can get an Uber Black ride, meaning yes, an air taxi, you can get that for the same price and save yourself a freaking hour. And this is where it's going to affect rideshare negatively. But they're going to have a vertiport. Still hate that name. They're going to have a vertiport, and then they still got to get there. So this is where, instead of sitting at the rideshare lot with 200 other vehicles sitting at the Denver airport waiting to get that unicorn ride, then the smart drivers that want to say, hey, I want to pick up some people, go make some money, take them down to Greenwood Village, because they'll take their vertiport to Union Station, we'll just say for lack of a better term, and then cruise them down to Greenwood Village. And those of you that understand that, there's still going to be room for that. There'll probably be a vertiport somewhere in Greenwood Village, but then there's still, once those vertiports, they're still going to have those short rides. So rideshare drivers are going to have to just get a little more flexible in how they're doing rides, and there's still going to be an opportunity to make money when this stuff happens. So anyway, we got a lot going on in the chat here, so I'm going to stop over to the chat before I get back over. And let's see, since 2000. Can't get a Waymo to drive correctly. You want to be flown flown in the air? No, thanks. Well, they don't have all the traffic hazards. I mean, they just had these big planes with 300-400 people sitting on them, Sue. So, what's the hazard there? But no, yeah, to your point, look, the technology is but nothing stopped Waymo from getting their permits to operate. So why the hell wouldn't they give them permits to fly around in the air and, have a midair collision and on top of my house? And I live near the airport. So, I live between two runways, so 2 flight paths. So there's hundreds of eVTOLs out there. They're just toys for a long time. Yeah, but man, we'll get to that in a second. Why I think the toys are going to come out and play soon. Sean, run the cost to build an eVTOL. I have, and if you want, please let me know. We can talk about that on Thursday, or I think we got a going back and forth between Steve and I on our episodes to talk about here, because I have ran and it varies, and a lot of it. That's the problem, Steve. Is they'll tell you one thing, but the numbers are probably. They're not inflated, that they're very conservative. They might tell you it runs 300 million to build these things right now, but then they're ramping up facilities and they anticipate it's going to take X number of dollars. But I did run some numbers, but I didn't like the numbers that were presented to me. I think they're bullshit. So they're just trying to drag in investors and keep the investor confidence up while they're really, burning through money like nobody's freaking business. And the infrastructure, absolutely, Steve. The infrastructure is going to be crazy because these vertiports that they got to build. Where are they going to build them? Colorado has plenty of places for vertiports right now, but take LA, New York City. There's a place that could use some relief in traffic congestion, and that's one of the reasons that they're really going to push these things, and that even the government's come out and said that that's the reason that they're supporting it. DOT has, is because they want to try and provide a lot of relief. But the problem is air traffic in that area is freaking insane too, in New York City. So again, I think a lot of this stuff is a lot of hype. We see a whole lot of hype with all of it. And that's where I really love Steve's, even challenging me and my aggressive timeline on this stuff, going, okay, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? How are we going to do, this is bullshit. This isn't going to work, and there's going to be times I'm going to go, shit, I don't know, Steve, you're right. And right now, people love the Jetsons. Come on, man. Everybody wants to go be part of the Jetsons. Here's George Jetson. That's what, man, people are buying the sizzle, not the steak, Steve. You got to wake up and realize that. That's what this is about. It's all about the sizzle, not the steak. So, all right, we got a ton of stuff going on in chat. This is awesome because I love you guys getting involved and interacting with everything. Can't get a Waymo to drive correctly. We talked about that one real quick. And let's see, infrastructure. So yeah, Steve, there are so many factors involved with it. And we're going to get to this in just a second, Colin. So if I forget about it, push me back to it. But I've got it down here on my slide deck, so there should be a reason that I miss of it. How many propellers is enough? Well, I don't know, Twin Pines, because let's see. We're going to talk about this right now. So this is one of the other things, and this is where sometimes things can go right with this. So part of their plans is for like emergency transport. Colin, could you imagine not having to have a big enough footprint for an LZ for a helicopter, but you got a big enough footprint for something like this? So and Colin, you're asking about, what about birds, migration, hunters? I wouldn't worry about hunters. I'd worry about deploying these things in Arkansas. I got family that would be looking for an opportunity with these things. So, but this is one of the things that they're looking at doing, is using it for emergency medical transport. So could you imagine? So those of us, Steve, you've had a little exposure to it, being able to take this and go down to a ski slope, drop this thing on ski slope, slide the passenger into it, and be able to do a med evac with it. Now this is a concept. This is not an actual this isn't even. They say it's a prototype, but it's a concept design. Okay, this is something where potentially, we can get some good things to come out of this. And I know, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want that, I don't want to get on that thing, yada yada yada. Oh no, I gotta find this video. Where did I put it? There's a whole lot of reasons that this could fill some gaps and fix some problems with what we got going on, guys. I have got to find this video that I didn't get loaded. Let me add this video here real quick, guys, because this is one thing where there's some problems with search and rescue. And besides getting the helicopter, so you can do something that's called like a short haul. So you may have seen it where they had the helicopter and then they had they'll bring a rescuer down on the hoist, and then they attach to what's called the litter. A lot of people will call it a stretcher, but it's the metal frame thing that they take people out of. You've probably seen it. That there's sometimes problems with that, and you got to be careful on how you're doing some of these extractions, particularly even with the wind coming up. But the problem with a lot of these helicopters is they create their own wind, and it creates a lot of problems.
Got the spin. Yeah, I got.
So this is a big, big problem. I'm passed out by now. Most inappropriate comment by a news anchor of the day. All right, so that happened in the Phoenix area several years ago. I think it was probably about 2018, if I remember. But that was a situation, and luckily that pilot, they took an out of control situation, and that pilot made the best of it. A lot of people are like, what the hell, it's spinning around like crazy, why do you fly off like that? Because it stopped the spin, guys. And so that pilot did the right thing with it. The search and rescue team, the sheriff's office, everybody and their mother got sued for that. So speaking of suing, when they're doing a search and rescue operation, and the drone and body come flying into your backyard, then I guess you might have a trauma case too. But anyway, no, guys, all seriousness, there's a lot of opportunity that to help things in the medical world, and they're laying out part of that as part of the strategy, and they'll use that to really start pushing things forward with it, because do more harm. If you got somebody that's going to get dead and you need to get them out of there, it's certainly better than spending 4 hours, 6 hours, sometimes several days getting a subject out, or at least to a safe LZ, if you could use something like that. So I see this as someone who was involved with search and rescue for over 10 years. And Colin, chime out, you had 20 some years with search and rescue. that this could be this has a lot of potential. And I was part of one of the first teams that was nationally using drones for search and rescue operations, and we had one of the first worldwide it went quasi-viral videos on a rescue involving a drone. So guys, don't dismiss some of this technology as being beneficial to us as well. But yeah, there's a lot of hazards and a lot of danger with it that's going on. Meridian Heights, welcome in. And so they should have a line on the ground to stabilize the patient. Yeah, Colin, that's for your search and rescue podcast that you need to get started, and you and I can dissect that video and have a conversation about it. So hopefully that'll inspire you. And Colin has way more experience than I do with search and rescue. And again, I was involved with it for 10 years. And he worked with us out here in Colorado when he moved to Colorado, and he spent a lot of years with in Canada. So guys, let's encourage him to get some of that going. Wouldn't you guys like to hear a podcast about search and rescue? And I'd be willing to jump on even a few times and help you get going with this, Colin, and be a lot of fun, man. I just talked to another guy today that was talking about podcasting. He says he wanted to do it, and doesn't have enough time and this and that. So I kind of told him my story and mentioned, if you have something that you're passionate about, get on there and talk about it, guys. Because there's plenty of stuff to talk about. But so back to the timeline. So we talked about California. Of course, California, land of fruits and nuts, as I used to say. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that anymore, but that there's a whole lot of corridors in the LA area that there's a lot of traffic problems. And LA hosted the Olympics previously, okay? And what were some of the challenges, if any of you remember, the last time they hosted it? It's like any Olympic venue. It's about transportation and be able to get people to and from different events and so on and so forth. And could you imagine there being a temporary vertiport set up, all the different little venues, and then doing little like island hopping like happens in Hawaii? If any of you are familiar with that, they have little planes that just go and hop from island to island, and they just do their little routes every single day. Why wouldn't that work in California? I go all the way up and down the coast of California. Let's get into a little microclimate like what's going to happen in 2028. But I think all this stuff is happening. It's going to be fast tracked. One of the first areas you're going to see commercial flights is I'm changing my timeline, Steve. 2028, they will be doing commercial flights. I don't know who's going to be doing it. Somebody's going to dump enough money into this, and California's going to drink the Kool-Aid, and they are going to, by 2028, during the Olympics, that's when we're going to have our first commercial flights going in the U.S. And commercial, they'll be quasi-commercial because they'll be promotional stuff. They'll be giving free rides to dignitaries or rich people that live in Malibu and want to go see in La Jolla and want to go see the Olympics. But I'm telling you, I'm now moving my timeline, Steve. So now it's during the 2028 Summer Olympics. So there you go. I got even bolder with that. So Steve says California, land of 1% and homeless and nothing in between. Well, I don't know. I think Joe would ask you where the hell his 1%, where he's missing his 1%. So Jam Woodworking, Steve, is a good friend of mine. He lives up in California, and he's good people, by the way. He's not your typical stereotype California. He's kind of some of the old school Old school California people. But nothing but net. Puddle jumpers. Yeah, that's exactly it, Colin. And yeah, they have a lot of that up in Canada too. Up in Manitoba and Sekawachakwan and all those rural places. They had little planes that just go and jump and go from. Now I don't think those are ever going to work in Alaska and up in Canada and all that where it gets cold AF. That's not going to work right now. Battery technology isn't working, but they deplete their batteries the second they start it up. Whenever it gets minus 20 and minus 41 with wind chill. So, wonder how much it costs to run one of those things. So that's a great question, Meridian. Because most of them, there's only one of them, and I don't remember which one of them is, that most of them are piloted still, by the way, guys. They're not autonomous. There's only one of them that's autonomous. And so, Meridian, I'm going to make a note of that, and I'm going to research that. So we're not done with this conversation. Steve wants to keep up the debate, and I love the debate, and hopefully we're going to be able to settle this bet one day. Steve and I might be 90 podcasts and go, yeah, back in I remember watching the Jetsons, and but yeah, I'm making a note of that about the operational costs. And again, that's going to be the hard thing, is because a lot of this stuff is science fiction still, even though they have test aircraft. I don't think they've been able to truly. They'll tell investors one thing, but what the real operating costs of these things, just like when Steve asked me if I saw how much it was to make one of these things, and I did run the numbers based on information I received, but I don't necessarily believe it. I think that they're playing hide the sausage from investors on a lot of this stuff, because the burn rate when you start up any business or anything is you burn through freaking money like crazy. And then particularly when you're trying to do new ventures like this, it's absolutely insane. So all right, Steve has while we're coming up to the top of the hour here, going to mention, you've heard me talk about Steve, Rideshare Rodeo. Any of you, I think everybody in here, but anybody listening to this, go give Rideshare Rodeo a follow. And Steve and I have become really good friends over the last, 5-6 months. And that's continuing to grow because, we have a huge respect for one another. But man, if there's anybody, he's been so supportive to me, but he doesn't need this from this little creator, but man, he deserves it. He's so supportive of everyone and so respectful of everyone. But I have every Thursday this month, and maybe we'll do some more. We'll talk to Steve and see what we can do. But on Thursdays, I've been a regular co-host on his show. He just made a mention in the chat that he made a thumbnail for our Thursday conversation. So I can't wait to see what that is. But tune in. We do it 6 p.m. as well. You always can find me here on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. and that's Mountain Time. So for those of you that don't know there's a Mountain Time, that's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, Bubba Sue, I can't wait either. And no, I still haven't done my homework to answer you, Bubba Sue. Those of you that are following us in this craziness that we got going on, you might know what I'm talking about. But Bubba Sue, we're going to get you that dash cam. I'm going to start a GoFundMe or some damn thing and get you that dash cam. So anyway, guys, this has been a great time. we didn't even get through very much of this, but I think we got through enough to, to start a little debate and start some fun with this, and really open people's eyes up to the reality that these things are going to happen. When are they going to happen? Nobody really knows for sure. We can all speculate, but there's going to be a whole lot of things that could slow it down. I mean, like Meridian Heights says, a 3-minute helicopter ride around the fairgrounds in Daytona costs $30. Right. So they do enough of those. Now you got me going again. We're going overtime thanks to Meridian. They do enough of those rides that's what the operating expenses are for it. So that's going to be kind of the whole thing, is that as you get more rides, your operating expenses go down. I mean, we know that as rideshare and food delivery workers. If you're sitting there, you're trying to make $35 an hour, but you're only getting $2 no-tip delivery orders from DoorDash, or you get, some bangers from Expedite doing catering orders. Those are two different worlds, and somehow you got to make all those work out. And that's what we do as gig workers, is we figure out how to balance and make money whenever the money and the corporations are against us. So, but when you're doing stuff like that, yeah, you can get a helicopter ride for $30 an hour. And I've never taken the Daytona one. May have to go do that. Anyway, we're just going to keep plugging along here. We're going to have fun, guys. I really enjoy this. Hope you guys enjoy it too, because even if y'all quit coming in, I'm going to sit there and keep talking to the screen and looking at myself and talking and having fun with this, guys. We're going to grow this. I appreciate all of you. You guys have been amazing. And yeah, smack that like button on your way out, guys. Thank you so much, Steve, and awesome Amy, Bubba Sue, Jam Woodworking, Sartec 9, Meridian Heights. Gosh, all you guys, man. Twin Pines Studio. Trying to get everybody that was in here tonight. Guys, thank you so much. We made it to episode 7. We're going to break that. We're going to get into the top 1% of podcasters. I have to get to past my 20th episode that we're going to celebrate like hell. I don't care how many people end up following me. I'm out here to really talk about rideshare, and we're going to throw in a lot more safety initiatives, because that's what I'm passionate about. Sometimes we're going to change it up like we did tonight and have some fun and talk about some of this other stuff, and talk a little bit about the Jetsons, man. They're coming, like it or not. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you Thursday on Rideshare, on the same channel, streaming with Rideshare Rodeo. And I have no idea what we're talking about, but apparently Steve's giving me a hint in here. And then next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So 8 p.m. Eastern time for both those. Good night, y'all. Be safe out there. Thank you so much.